Hello students. Now we have already completed the education, food, dress and amusement, and in food, dress and amusement I explained to you about they had a simple food. Barley was produced in the Rig Vedic period, and then in the later Vedic period they produced rice also. Domesticated cows, so most of the product were made of milk and milk products. So, and then you studied about simple cloth was worn by them, as well as you also have studied about the ornaments and how they amused themselves. This all we completed. Today we are going to study about religious belief of the Vedic people. Now again, I am going to divide this religious belief in the early Vedic period and the later Vedic period. Okay, so here you see Vedic age, they worship forces of nature. Forces of nature means they worship nature god in the early Vedic period because these gods are mentioned in the Rig Veda. So they worship forces of nature, or we can also say that they worship the nature gods. The most important among these nature gods was Indra, to whom 250 hymns are devoted in the Rig Veda. Okay, how many hymns? 250 hymns. And he is also known as Purandar. He is also known as Jitendra. Okay, and he is considered as the rain god who is responsible for bringing rain. Right? Now, the second position is held by Agni, the fire god, and he is regarded as intermediary between gods and men, for he consumes the sacrificial offerings and carries them to the gods in the form of smoke. Okay, then the third position is occupied by Varuna, the god of water, cloud, oceans and rivers. He determines the path for all stars in heaven. And Varuna is regarded as the upholder of natural or cosmic orders. Okay, now the next which you have to remember, there were many other Vedic gods like Vayu, Surya, Yama, Rudra. There were the other gods apart from Indra, Agni and Varna. They were the other gods like Vayu, Surya, Yama and Rudra. Some goddesses were also worshipped in the early Vedic period. Now these female goddesses was Usha, Prithvi, Aditi, Arni, Dishana. Okay, they were the goddesses which were worshipped in the early Vedic period. Okay, now in the later Vedic period, now the new gods appeared in the later Vedic period. It's Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Okay, so later Vedic age, Prajapati, the creator of Brahma, became the supreme god, and Indra and Agni lost their significance. Okay, Vishnu came to be regarded as the preserver and protector of the people, and Shiva as destroyer of the universe. Okay, so this you have to remember. So in a brief manner, if we have to explain about the religion, Indra, Agni, Varuna, Mitra, Surya, they were worshipped. The means worship of nature and natural phenomena prevailed. Later Vedic period religion became complex. Brahma, Rama, Vishnu, Krishna, they were the incarnation of Vishnu. Shiva, they came to be worshipped. Absence of temple and idols was there. Hymns were chanted in the early Vedic period. Worship of forefathers and belief in life after death prevailed in the early Vedic period. And later Vedic period, Brahmins introduced many rituals, made their position secure, faith in superstitions and spells, new principles like penance, doctrine of karma, dharma, and moksha developed. So this happened in the later Vedic period. So when we speak about sacrifices and rituals, okay, with religious evolution, simplicity of nature worship was lost. Simplicity of nature worship was lost. Means now in the later Vedic period, rituals and sacrifices became a daily routine. Beside the yagnas performed by king, the common people performed small yagnas, during which milk, ghee, grains, and fruits were offered to the deities. Rich people and businessmen conducted bigger sacrifices. And during such yagnas, Purohit received gold, expensive clothes, and large number of cows as gift. That is dakshina. Okay, so sacrifices and rituals became complex in the later Vedic period. New doctrines emerged. Now, what was this new doctrine? The Brahmins were responsible for bringing about many innovations and evolving new doctrines. And these new doctrines include doctrine of karma, dharma, and moksha. Okay, the belief in rebirth gained roots. Okay, and the Brahmins strengthened their position. Okay, so this you have in the new doctrine. The next, when we speak about economy, okay, the Rig Vedic economy was primarily pastoral, where the Aryans' cattle was synonymous with wealth. A wealthy person was called Gomat, and Gopa and Gopati were epithet given to the kings. In the Rig Veda, Goduli is used as the term for measure of time. Distance is called Gavyati, and a daughter is called Duhit, or one who milks the cow. Okay, so this you have. Now, in the beginning, now when we speak about economy in the early Vedic period, in the beginning, the main occupation was domestication of animals and agriculture was secondary in the early Vedic period. Later Vedic period, what happened? Agriculture became the chief occupation while domestication of animals also continued. Cattle was the important source of wealth in the early Vedic period. Later Vedic period, land was the important source of wealth. Okay, so here when we speak about trade, agriculture, a surplus of agriculture led to trade, giving rise to markets from which developed towns and cities. Thus, trade became a pivot around which the whole town and city life moved. And they used barter system. Okay, for trade purpose, they had the barter system. Occupation, if we speak about occupation, agriculture, beside agriculture and trade, the important occupation was agriculture, domestication of animals, crafts in various metals, carpentry, pottery, fishery, etc. And women were engaged in spinning, weaving, knitting, and dyeing. So these were the occupation of the people. So we completed religion or the religious belief, economy, trade, and occupation. Thank you. Please learn.